Hey everyone, this is Lola and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about personal safety and injury prevention for grade 8. Now, I'm a teacher in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I'm using the Ontario Health and Physical Education curriculum for 2019. Here's the table of contents, and you can see all the topics I will be discussing. But I won't be discussing all these topics in one video. I'm going to do them in sections. It's just going to be easier. So the first one, for example, I'll be discussing injuries and the body. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, then you'll be able to get some notifications when I do upload some new videos on the other topics. I've just posted the 2019 Ontario curriculum on personal safety and injury prevention here. These are the specific expectations, and you can actually get this just right off the internet if you do a Google search for this. Our first topic is going to be injuries. So I'm going to start with a definition about injury, and then usually what I do is I show my students a video that they can watch on YouTube. So I'm going to put the link below in the description box, so please look out for it. An injury is damage to your body. It's a general term that refers to harm caused by accidents, falls, hits, weapons, and more. Millions of people injure themselves every year. Wounds are injuries that break the skin or other body tissues. They include cuts, scrapes, scratches, and punctured skin. Intentional and unintentional injuries. Intentional injuries are injuries that occur with purposeful intent and include homicide, suicide, domestic violence, sexual assault and rape, bias-related violence, and firearms. Unintentional injuries are injuries that occur without purposeful intent and are a leading cause of death and disability. Most road traffic injuries, poisoning, falls, fire and burn injuries, and drowning are unintentional. Major trauma is any injury that has the potential to cause prolonged disability or death. There are many causes of major trauma, blunt and penetrating, including falls, motor vehicle collisions, stabbing wounds, and gunshot wounds. The most common crash injury is bone fracture, often involving multiple breaks. Bone fractures can require extended rehabilitation, and crash victims may take months to fully recover their abilities. Types of injuries. Abrasions. An abrasion is a type of open wound that's caused by the skin rubbing against a rough surface. It may be called a scrape or a graze, and most of us have had one of these. When an abrasion is caused by the skin sliding across hard ground, it may be called road rash. Abrasions are very common injuries. The definition of an abrasion is an area that is sore, scraped, or rubbed away. A spot on one's arm that is scraped from falling off a bike is an example of an abrasion. Lacerations. A cut is a wound which breaks the skin, typically due to unexpected trauma from a sharp object. While most people have experienced what it's like to get a minor cut, lacerations can be deeper and more irregular in shape, often characterized by jagged edges and possible bruising or bleeding. Fracture. A fracture is a crack or break in a bone. Most fractures result from force applied to a bone. Fractures usually result from injuries or overuse. The injured part hurts, especially when it is used, is usually swollen, and may be bruised or look distorted, bent, or out of place. Spinal cord injury. A spinal cord injury, damage to any part of the spinal cord or nerves at the end of the spinal canal, often causes permanent changes in strength, sensation, and other body functions below the site of the injury. When the spinal cord is damaged, the message from the brain cannot get through. The spinal nerves below the level of the injury get signals, but they are not able to go up the spinal tracts to the brain. Reflex movements can happen, but these are not movements that can be controlled. The spinal cord coordinates the body's movement and sensation. Therefore, an injured cord loses the ability to send and receive messages from the brain to the body's systems that control sensory, motor, and autonomic function below the level of the injury. Often, this results in some level of paralysis. Brain injuries. A concussion is the most common type of traumatic brain injury. A concussion is caused when the brain receives trauma from an impact or a sudden momentum or movement change. Causes of injury. Any damage to your body is an injury. Injuries can be caused by accidents or acts of violence and may occur at home, work, or play. They can be due to impact from blunt objects or from objects that penetrate the body. Common types of injury include abrasions, lacerations, broken bones, joint dislocations, sprains, strains, and burns. Common injuries and diagnoses. So we can see on this chart that common injuries to the body, we have the head and the ankles as the highest are the highest ones at 14% and 15%. And if you look on the right-hand side, the most common diagnosis seen in emergency rooms for sports injuries are strains or sprains. And then if you go further down, we see that concussions is the fourth one down, and we will be talking more about concussions as that is very important. Lifelong effects. The estimated total economic burden of injury in Canada was $26.8 billion in 2010. Injuries can have lifelong effects on people. Depending on the injury, some will have physiotherapy, some will have paralysis, and unfortunately, some people will die from their injury. So let's review what we learned so far. A couple of questions that are up for discussion. What's the difference between an intentional injury and an unintentional injury? What are some different types of injuries? What causes injuries? What are some lifelong effects of injuries? Going on to the next topic, injuries and the body. Broken bones. A fracture is a broken bone. A bone may be completely fractured or partially fractured in any number of ways, such as crosswise, lengthwise, or in multiple pieces. Most broken bones in kids happen from a fall. Kids can also break a bone in an accident or while playing sports. Spinal cord injuries. So once again, I have another link to a YouTube video that you can watch. Please look in the description box below. And it is about spinal injury education for teenagers and just an introduction for them. I've posted another link here. This one has to do with spinal cord injury education for teenagers, and it's more specifically about office safety. Teenagers might soon be getting jobs, and so just knowing what to be safe about when they're out there is very important. Please see the description box below for the link. Concussions. A concussion is a brain injury that can't be seen on routine X-rays, CT scans, or MRIs. It affects the way a person may think and remember things, and can cause a variety of symptoms. Any blow to the head, face, or neck, or a blow to the body that jars your head could cause a concussion. Concussions happen oftentimes when people play sports. Concussions, Brain 101, what's a concussion? I'm posting another link for a YouTube video on concussions. Please see the description box below for the link. What are some physical signs and symptoms of a concussion? Headache, pressure in the head, dizziness, nausea or vomiting, blurred vision, sensitivity to light or sound, ringing in the ears, balance problems, feeling tired or low energy, drowsiness, and don't feel right. What are some cognitive signs and symptoms of a concussion? Not thinking clearly, feeling slowed down, feeling like in a fog, problems concentrating, and memory problems. What are some emotional signs and symptoms of a concussion? Easily upset or angered, sadness, nervous or anxious, feeling more emotional. What are some sleep-related signs and symptoms of a concussion? Sleeping more or less than usual, having a hard time falling asleep. So what do you do if you suspect a concussion? In all suspected cases of concussion, the person should stop the activity right away. Continuing increases their risk of more severe, longer-lasting concussion symptoms, as well as increases the risk of other injury. Anyone with a suspected concussion should be checked out by a medical doctor. Impact of injuries. What are the impact of injuries to victims? So here's a good time to have a discussion about the emotional, physical, social, and mental impacts of injuries. Remember that when bad things happen, it can take a while to get over the pain and feel safe again. Causes of injuries. Here are some more discussion questions that you can have with your class. How do these injuries happen? How can some injuries lead to death? And that's it for this video. The next video that I will be posting will be discussing how can we make sure that there are fewer injuries. Please remember to subscribe to my channel so that you can get updates as soon as I post. Thanks for watching, guys.